So, if you consult biologists today about self regulation, homeostasis, they will inform you that the dominant activities in our biology are the genome, the human genes that you inherit from your parents, the microbiome, which is genetic information of bacteria, fungi, and viruses, mostly in our gut and skin and orifices, the openings in our body. In addition to this, there is, of course, the immune system and the brain, and they all work kind of together to maintain self regulation or homeostasis. So, how do physical cells, including brain, immune system, human genome, and microbiome, all coordinate their activities in order to maintain things in balance: blood sugar, body temperature, insulin levels, hormone levels, antibodies. And then how is that correlated to subjective feelings like sleep wake cycles, energy levels, um, body temperature, or rather the feeling of warmth or cold, or hunger or appetite, or thirst, or sexual activity, or perceptual processes. It seems like you cannot explain anything unless you invoke non-locality, unless you invoke quantum entanglement. I've kind of mentioned this in the past. In a 24-hour period, we go through the experience of eating, breathing, digestion, metabolism, elimination, sensory experience, thoughts, feelings, emotions, memories, desires, relationships, and every possible subjective experience. So, right now, if you look at the two open questions in science, the first open question in science is, what is the universe made of? Which means that we actually don't know what it is made of. Otherwise, it wouldn't be an open question. And the reason is we do not know the nature of dark energy, or what we call dark energy, dark matter. Only 3-4% of the visible universe, 2 trillion galaxies, is actually atomic, and atoms and particles ultimately evolve into possibility waves in mathematical space when not being observed. So the fact that we ask the question, what is the universe made of, is actually assuming that it is made of something called matter. Now, and once you make that assumption, then the physical body is material, the brain is material, the immune system is made of T cells, B cells, in other words, material objects. The genetic information is coded in a language of atoms and molecules and base pairs, all physical objects. And so is everything else that we call biology, also physical. And when we look at this assumption that the universe is physical, even though we have no reason to believe it's physical because of the reasons I mentioned, then we get into these problems. How does subjective experience like hunger, thirst, there's a sexual desire, or any other subjective experience, insight, intuition, imagination, creativity, How does all that come about as a result of the movement of atoms and molecules? And we can never solve this problem, which is called the hard problem of consciousness. And so I think it's time to question our assumptions. And the first assumption is the assumption of something called matter. We have never experienced a substance called matter. We have only experienced our own perceptual activity, which is a modified form of awareness. How do cells become self-aware? Are they aware? And actually, if you ask scientists, are cells aware? They'll give you a variety of answers because there's no agreement. Of course, some scientists do believe that cells have a form of awareness because they can respond to their environment, they can communicate with each other, and so cells must have some level of awareness in order to coordinate their activities and maintain their internal state. So awareness has to be fundamental for self-regulation. And awareness is not a material object. Awareness is neither a perceived or conceptualizable entity because it is what conceives and perceives. So unless we actually revise our total assumption of the universe as a appearance that is a modification of an infinite non-local awareness, unless we revise our assumption that what we call matter is an appearance, a process, a changing form, which is actually a phenomenon where awareness is self-regulating itself from microcosm to macrocosm, which means from the most fundamental cellular level of our biology to our biology as a whole and the universe as a whole. Unless we revise this idea that this wholeness that we call the universe, which is also the wholeness which we call our physical body, unless that is totally non-local, self-aware, self-regulating, self-evolving, self-organizing process in a non-local field of infinite possibilities, unless we revise that, we will never be able to get a good explanation of what we call fundamental reality. And all our problems come from the assumption of separate objects, separate minds, separate brains that are usually in conflict with each other and appear to be conflict, from minor imbalances in our body to major conflagrations like war, terrorism, etc., all come from a misperception or misinterpretation of reality. So instead of thinking of the universe as composed of physical objects with parts that interact with each other, I think we have to revisit our entire assumption of reality. There's no such thing as a material object, no such thing as a physical body, and no such thing as a physical universe. These are human names and constructs. And also there's no such thing as a biological organism in an environment. What we call the biological organism and environment is one unified process in a non-local field of infinite possibilities. Now, I know I have said this so many times to the point where you might think I'm being redundant and saying the same thing over and over again. But we have major issues in the world right now: war, terrorism, social injustice, economic injustice, tribal minds, separate conditioned identities, when in fact the whole thing could be an illusion. There's no separation. There is no such thing as a biological organism in an environment or cell in our body, which is part of an organ. It's all one activity, and it's non local. Objects are not separated from each other, they just appear to be separated from each other. Just like looking at a mirror. Look at a mirror right now, and you'll see, you'll see objects that look separate from each other. In a mirror, you also see depth. When you actually touch the mirror, it's all one surface. And right now, many people are suggesting that the whole universe is a holographic projection of a flat screen, whatever that flat screen is, the event horizon or singularity, lots of ideas, but the projection is that of a flat screen, the best we can conceptualize it. Consciousness cannot be conceptualized, and nor can it be perceived. It's the source of all conception and perception. It itself is neither perceivable nor conceivable. And it's formless and irreducible and without cause and transcendent and beyond space-time. And if we actually understand that that's our true nature, then all our problems resolve into the unity of love as the ultimate truth at the heart of creation, and love being more than a sentiment, love being the ultimate truth, that we are one being that is differentiated into innumerable appearances. And those appearances are just like the illusion you see in a mirror. The world is a mirror, the body is a mirror, and three-dimensionality is a mirror of the incomprehensible, inconceivable, non-perceivable, infinite, irreducible, fundamental, infinite being that we all are. And infinity cannot be compromised, even though it expresses itself into innumerable finite forms, which are all actually ceaselessly the ongoing process or phenomenon that we call experience. And experience itself is a modification of fundamental reality. Consciousness becomes conscious as the universe. That includes you and me as well. That's the real meaning of Brahman and Brahmand. The universe is the appearance of the infinite being. And beyond the secret passages and the dark alleys and the ghost-filled attics of our mind and our human constructs, there is only the infinite being appearing as the infinite universe. And we are that. Tat Tvam Asi.